Spider-Man is grounded, but in the way we all want. Superman flies high at the box office, and Emmy noms are out for us to discuss. All that and more coming up right after this. Welcome to Multiverse News, your source for information about all your favorite fictional universes. My name's Matthew Carroll, and with me on the panel today, we have Haley Hobbs. What's happening, Haley?
Oh, I wasn't expecting to go first. I'm just amazing. I'm great. It's a great day. It's a brand new day, one might say.
Indeed, and we'll be discussing that in just a few minutes. And don't spoil it, Haley. And Jay Scotty St. Clair, what's going on?
Good to be back. I was out last week traveling, but I did my best to kind of try to stay in the loop here, but I am feeling a little disconnected from some of these headlines, so ready to get back in the swing of things, if you will.
Oh, I will.
Scotty not going to get in trouble for talking about Spider-Man 2?
Chastise me.
I was just trying to make a joke about him feeling disconnected and things being sticky, but it wasn't coming out. So I lost the thread, if you will. The thread. Okay. And welcoming back to the show, our good friend Zuhair Ali. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. Haley's energy is really rubbing off on me, so I too am feeling amazing.
Is that a Spider-Man reference too? Because I will chastise
it would be
Spider-Man
a spectacular one if it is.
It was an amazing Spider-Man reference if you wanted it to be.
Yes, indeed. All right, well, let's get into our 5-star review here, as we like to do, from Definitely Ish. Like that. Love the show. Always learn something new. Love the dynamic of the hosts. Always a good listen. Awesome. By the way, thank you for the 5-star review. Definitely ish. But I wanted to say, I went through all of the reviews this week and finally got all of the competition stuff. It was hundreds and hundreds of emails, and I had to go through them one by one and verify each review. But I did it, and I actually have the winner. But I'm thinking I'm gonna wait till I email them to announce it. So next week's show we will announce the winner, and that is exciting. For the PS5 contest. Sorry, I kind of buried the lead there. Thank you all for all the reviews, hundreds of reviews, and it filled my heart with much joy because just the number of reviews was wonderful, and so many of them were so kind. But not only those, but a lot of you, and I felt bad because I was going through hundreds of emails. A lot of you wrote personalized messages within the emails themselves, and I couldn't read them all. And I feel like I need to go back because the ones I did read, I was getting emotional doing this very laborious task. But you guys were sending in just so much love for the podcasts and the whole network. So thank you guys for that. That was really sweet. Very sweet time yesterday going through them. What could have been a laborious task, I guess I should say.
Labor of love.
Indeed. Thank you guys for all the reviews during the contest. It really means a lot. Well, you guys ready to dive into our first story? Swing into our first story, if you will.
Can't imagine what it's about.
Consider our wishes granted as Tom Holland shares in an interview with Flip Your Wig that Spider-Man Brand New Day will show Spider-Man in a much more grounded setting than we've previously seen in the MCU. Holland refers back to Spider-Man No Way Home as having had a fairly restricted set due to COVID. Brand New Day will feature more real sets and on-location filming, according to the Spidey actor. Knowing as we do that John Bernthal's Punisher will also be in the film, are we finally getting the streetwise Spider-Man movie we've wanted for so long?
I feel like every time we talk about Spider-Man 4 or Brand New Day as we know it to be now, it is always the question of whether or not it's going to be the street-level story that we're all pining for, or if it's going to have to lean into the multiverse of it all, especially with Doomsday right around the corner. And we would assume that Tom Holland would be a pivotal figure to that with his connection to Tony Stark, with RDJ taking up the mantle of Doom here. But I did read this article and I read Tom Holland's quotes, and I actually listened to the excerpt from the interview, and I heard the way that he said it and his inflection and just kind of a lot of background noise and stuff like that. And I got the sense that he had not really thought about what he was saying. It was very in the moment, which is very in keeping with Tom Holland. He's a passionate, excitable guy, and that's what we love about him. I will say that I think this Forbes article author I think he's doing a little bit of editorializing here, and I don't take it as full on confirmation that this is going to be like strictly street level. I think it will largely be street level, given all of the updates in the news and even like the casting rumors that are surrounding it. They all seem to point in that direction, but I don't know if I'm just ready to go that far to say it's absolutely confirmed here. But all that being said, again, having heard the words come from Tom Holland himself, he's excited, and that makes me excited because looking back on No Way Home, to his point, as much as I love that movie, I think you can look back at that movie and so many of the scenes and even like some of the set pieces, like a lot of it was interiors. Like we were in the Sanctum Sanctorum, or just a lot of interiors, and even some of the big action set pieces like around the Statue of Liberty. Like they did a really great job with the effects, but I think you can kind of tell that was done on a sound stage rather than on location. And I'm just the kind of film fan that like you can, once you've watched enough movies and really have the eye for it, you can tell when things have been shot on location. So that's just exciting to me. And before I move on entirely, since we're talking about Marvel Studios news here, it didn't make it into the outline or anything like that, but I did happen to see just a little bit of Fantastic Four news for you. Fantastic Four director Matt Shakman, he did confirm that the movie is going to be set in Universe 828, which is fitting because that's Jack Kirby's birthday, August 28th, and that's in keeping with what we saw in Multiverse of Madness. The Illuminati universe was 838. So some interesting tidbits coming from one of our favorite camps here in Marvel.
That's Fantastic Four. It'll be 828.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about even that Tom Holland is speaking about this movie being grounded. Even if he's not confirming it, like just the idea that this is going to be a more a street level movie. I mean, since it's got the Punisher in it, and ever since they moved the Avengers movies to the other side of it, that's the thing that has had me thinking this for a while. So I hope that's the case. And even if not, like you said, I'm really excited about the practical sets and the real world shooting. Cause yeah, those, they're beautiful. They really are. But those scenes look like a fantasy world almost, like the way this, and it's part of it is you've got this like multiversal threat happening and there's purple skies and stuff. But some of it is it just looks a little false behind them. They look like they're on blue screen. So, yeah, I'm pumped for this. This is going to be cool.
I think that all of this is in keeping with what we've been talking about regarding Brand New Day. Like, in No Way Home, spoiler alert, I guess, like, figure it out. We see Spider-Man having to go back to the roots of the character in the comics. Every time we've had Spider-Man in the MCU, he's been, plussed up by Tony Stark, and he's got his Iron Spider suit, and he's doing these really big scale things, and they really tore that all away from him in No Way Home. And so if they were going to do multiversal again when he's wearing his homemade sewn costume, like it just doesn't really jive. I think the time for that comes down the road in Secret Wars. And I think that like his excitement of being able to film on location, I think they were talking about him being in Scotland. That's kind of why this interview came about. They thought he was there for the Odyssey, and then they found out it was actually for Spider-Man. So that's also exciting news to hear that like this movie is going to be filming probably like very soon, or they already have started. So yeah, I think it just all makes sense. Even if we get a little mystical here and there, or we get a little multiverse here and there, it doesn't actually follow with the character anymore for it to be that for this film. So I like it, and he gave us just enough without giving us too much. So he's growing as a person, and we love to see it.
He's learned from his lawsuits. Yeah, I know I'm about to say some fighting words, but I'm tired of multiverse. I'm tired of time travel. So I really, really want and really hope that this movie is grounded, because from the Marvel's most recent projects, I think Daredevil is the one that's had the most success. And that is down to its action, its storytelling, its character development, and all of that being on a ground level. I think Ironheart had this great balance of still keeping things like within a city, when they're grounded, within having to like work within their means, but still introducing elements of magic. I'll leave it at that. So there is a line that they can kind of play with, and I think they've kind of found that working with Ironheart. So while I do expect to see those elements because it's such a huge part of the storytelling, keeping it to the grounded action and then maybe having the ends kind of tease towards how it relates to Secret Wars, the Fantastic Four, all that thing, would be really smart for them to do.
Since we mentioned the mystical, Brand New Day, what are the odds you guys think Mephisto will appear? Come on.
I think pretty high, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think pretty high.
I'm 50-50. I could see it going either way at this point. I feel like that's a cop out, but that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I could be swayed either way because part of me really thinks that this will be an adaptation of One More Day, but I also think that like brand new, this just like they just did the trilogy of movies with Home in the title, this could be the beginning of a day trilogy where it's like brand new day, one more day, something else, you know. Yeah, so maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse. Zendaya, yes, Spider-Man Zendaya.
We're not collecting Infinity Stones anymore. We're collecting heroes.
There we go. Yeah.
I dig it. All right. Well, yeah, I think it's possible, but I'm kind of hoping not for the same reason we're talking about here. I hope it stays pretty grounded. I hope Daredevil gets to be a feature in it as well as the Punisher.
I guess I will hone in on the fact that they are shooting in Glasgow, and Glasgow certainly could fill in for certain sections of New York, but it does beg the question, what is the setting of this film going to be? Even if it is more ground level, will we actually have Spider-Man in New York like we want? Because again, thinking back to No Way Home, it was largely set in New York, but I even think about like how many like swinging sequences did we really get? I can only think of like the final one at the end of the movie when he's in the new suit. Like other than that, like he had one outdoor scene with Electro like at night, but that was kind of like he was out in the woods and it was kind of weird, right? So yeah. I'm just looking forward to getting that classic Spider-Man swinging through the cities and the streets of New York again.
I think that goes back to the set restrictions that they had, though. It's like they
totally,
were just,
for sure. Yeah.
So this is a sort of tangent, but it is related. My friend Faz Guardian on Instagram, Thor cosplayer, go follow him.
He's been on the show once upon a time.
Yeah, he's been on the show. He went to the old Navy college where Thor: The Dark World, the end climax scenes were filmed, and the chapel there is where they did the wedding, Christine's wedding, and Doctor Strange mom. And so
nice. Okay.
New York could be anywhere is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
It's true. Especially since the whole exterior you can is any building you can place anywhere with these days with technology. I was talking about swinging. There's been very little swinging in the entire trilogy, really, and even the Avengers movies. Like, there's not really been the only scene I'm thinking of really is the when he's swinging with Zendaya after his the reveal of his identity. Like that's the only one where I'm thinking where he's swinging through tall buildings.
Sure.
Most of the other ones are sort of like during a fight or momentary usage of swinging to do something else. So it almost feels like maybe that's something they're building towards a little bit.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next story. It was all about the blue, red, and yellow this weekend at the box office, with DCU's first film, Superman, soaring to an excellent $220 million global opening and just beating its domestic estimate of $122 million by catching $125 million in the United States. Warner Brothers should be thrilled with this opening, since their latest slate of DC films only 2017's Wonder Woman and The Batman crossed the $100 million mark during their opening weekends. 3/4 of the panel have seen the flick, so no spoilers. Is this opening on par with the hype you feel in your hearts?
Absolutely. James Gunn definitely set the tone. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of Young Justice, and James Gunn has said that this is going to be like a framework of how they go about this universe. And one of the important things of that show is that they don't waste time with origin stories. They give you just enough about the characters that are coming in so that you understand what's going on with the story for newer audiences that don't have comic backgrounds. But it's still like exciting for the people who are comic book fans or who are animated fans or who are fans of like any type of previous mediums. So the fact that they were able to do that with this movie, one of my biggest concerns seeing the trailers was like, man, they're introducing a lot of people in this, like it's going to feel crowded. Absolutely did not. It's an awesome way that they're doing this. The opening credits alone set the tone of what it's going to be, the world that we're in. And they haven't called their shot on anything. There's no like secure projects of like this film is coming out on this day with this cast. So they can honestly just get all the feedback that they need, take their time, build plans as they go, and just make the projects as they need to make this successful. Like the ball's in their court right now.
Except Supergirl is July of 2026 with gosh, I can never remember her name.
Millie Alcock.
Millie
Alcock and Jason Momoa as Lobo, which I guess maybe you hadn't heard, but that is I'm
just making all the Game of Thrones connections now since they both have been in that.
That's true. Maybe she's his great grandmother or something. Of Lobo. That's weird. I've talked about this movie, and you haven't seen it yet, right, Haley?
Yeah, I'm seeing it Thursday.
Oh man, can't wait to talk to you about it. It's really good, and the things that I didn't really get to talk about the other day, I don't feel like I hit hard enough how much I like Nicholas Hoult. We did a full review. Sure. It's the last one in the last episode in the feed, and I don't feel like we talked about Nicholas Hoult enough. I think his Lex Luthor is kind of wonderful, and I really questioned if he was going to be able to pull off the sort of, I don't know, the presence of Lex Luthor well enough. I think his voice, I wasn't sure if it was going to fit. I've always seen him play sort of like weaklings. I don't know, like in a lot of the stuff I've seen him in, and like in a way, a personality weaklings, kind of like sheepish people, which like I just think of Lex as like having a lot of bravado, even though he's a guy who's willing to go after the Superman, you know? And I think that Nicholas Hoult really pulled that off. And like it felt like he changed his voice in a way that I haven't heard him do before. He had a much like deeper and richer voice that really commanded a presence, and so I was impressed just because it was so different from the other Nicholas Hoult performances I had seen.
And they actually made him the super genius that he is. He's not just some lackey with an attitude. Like he can actually put his money where his mouth is.
And they gave him a lot of the psychology of what I think is essential for a Lex Luthor. So I did want to throw that out since we did talk about it a lot, but I don't really remember breaking that down on that episode. So
yeah, and I can't help but think of Jesse Eisenberg's take on the character, and it was like a younger take on Lex, but this is like a younger take on Lex in the right direction. This is like he's got the cunning, he's got the brilliance, he's got the avarice. It's all on display there. But can't say any more, to avoid spoilers here. But he definitely is a highlight of the movie. I completely agree, and I really enjoyed the movie as well, so I'm glad you mentioned the review. Definitely go check that out on this very feed. So
that has lots of spoilers.
It does have spoilers, so wait till you've seen the movie. $125 million is a great start domestically, and I don't have the international numbers right in front of me, but I think it did something in the neighborhood of 75 million, which is nothing to sniff at there. But I do hope the international box office picks up the pace here, and it's kind of unfortunate that that's even the case. That's just like the day and age that we live in. Like movies have to get as many people out in like the first 2-3 weeks is kind of stretching it, but we do have Fantastic Four just around the corner, so this movie really only gets the first 2 weeks without a lot of success. But all that being said, it's got a lot of pressure to succeed. Some of that unfair, but a lot of it is a direct result from James Gunn's constant commenting. So he's put that pressure on himself. So all that being said, is it the second coming? No, not exactly, not in my opinion. It's a great movie, but I do feel that while it might not be necessarily ushering like a new era, it is hugely responsible for some rejuvenated interest, not only in DC, but in comic book movies across the board. I think we're seeing the results of it on our own podcast, just more people interested in our podcast and just talking about this stuff again. So like we've always said, a rising tide raises all ships. And I think this is a clear indication of that. So again, looking at Fantastic Four, what kind of threat is that film going to present to this film, if any? Or is it going to be one of those examples where the interest coming off of one comic book movie, even though it's DC, will feed right into another, and they both kind of, people want to continue to go back and forth to see these movies multiple times. I'm itching to see it a second time. If I hadn't been traveling last week, I would have already seen it a second time. So hopefully I get to make that happen sooner rather than later. I do hate to end on a negative or pessimistic note, but I do have to say, seeing the reactions and even the reactions to the box office performance, like I just don't think there's any world where you say $125 million is not a great opening weekend for any film these days. But still, people are trying to poo-poo on it. And, not every movie has to be for everybody, but I am just not looking forward to another decade of hyperbolic takes on a Superman film. Like, can't we just enjoy things, please?
I really think that Max is going to be the determining factor for this. Yeah, I guess it's back to HBO Max now because there's enough there's enough of a population that really don't want to hit the movie theaters yet and have enough trust issues with DC from past films that they're just going to wait for streaming. There's enough memes going around that might arouse enough people's interest, but I really think that the streaming numbers is going to be a true quantifier for them to figure out if it's actually in the right direction or not.
It's interesting.
I think both you and Scotty's points are a mix. I think 125 million might be the standard opening for a superhero movie going forward, especially one that's not the norm. So not a Marvel sequel or something like that. You know what I mean? And it's not anything to sneeze at. I am also fascinated when I read posts, even local, city posts about, hey, go to this theater, it's locally owned, la la la, go support it, and people just bomb the theater because they don't like the food or they don't like the experience or they don't like this, and people are just I just want to stay home. So you're combating that mindset that you're talking about, Zoo. I'm just going to be interested to see who comes in first, second, third by the end of these box office runs, because Jurassic World has crossed $500 million already, which is really wild. And again, we have these two superhero movies just duking it out here in the end of July, and it's who made this decision again? It wasn't us, that's for sure.
That's true.
Reminds me of, what was it, Civil War and Batman v Superman came out a week or 2 weeks apart.
Yep.
Sure.
That was another time, though.
Yeah. Well, it's. I've been saying this a lot I said it a lot on MCU Cast yesterday. I talked about this, but this is a classic thing that Marvel has done kind of to DC in the past, where DC planned to make a movie and then Marvel's we're making Captain America 3. Oh, they're doing Batman v Superman. Well, we're going to change our plan, and now we're doing Captain America versus Iron Man.
It was supposed to be a Serpent Society movie.
Yeah, well, I think that was always a joke, I think.
Yeah.
But they definitely, shifted it to... At some point, I think after Batman v Superman was announced, that they shifted to a bigger movie because they wanted to be able to compete. And it's not just a bigger movie, it's the same concept. You're two heroes fighting. They've done that a number of times, and I wish I had more examples on the top of my head. But
I got to call Marvel out Treasy in our chat. He mentioned Shazam, and it was we had Captain Marvel come out in March, and then Shazam in April, and Shazam's original name was Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Man. It's kind of exciting to be back in a time where we can talk about DC versus Marvel, and I think... To me, I think it's in a fun way. I always enjoy what do you like more? Which universe is doing it better? Those are fun conversations. It doesn't have to be hate. You can still have these comparisons, and I love good comparison. And I think that this movie really knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. I'm very excited to see where this universe goes. And while it did a really good job of having so many characters, it focusing on one character. The little bitty clues of what's coming in the future. Mwah! I'm so excited for what's coming without feeling that sort of without feeling like it erased the rest of the movie. The movie is my focus, but there's these little tidbits of what's coming, and it's pretty exciting. You mentioned YouTube, Scotty. After we did our review, I finally let myself go watch all the YouTube I could find on this, just YouTube review for Superman, and oh my gosh. Some of these, it just felt so much like these people came in with their takes they already thought before the movie came out, and they just said the same thing. So many of these people came in. I think the James Gunn humor in this movie was restrained in such a strong way. This did not feel like Guardians. This did not feel like The Suicide Squad. This did not feel like Creature Commandos. This felt sure, there's humor in it, and some of it is very James Gunny, but it is not dripping with it like a Guardians movie. And I was really impressed with how restrained it was. And then I went online and everyone was like, "This is just a James Gunn comedy fest." And I'm like, no, it's not. It's just not. What are you talking about? I was so angry. I'm watching all these YouTube clips, just getting more and more angry, because it's all the things we were all worried about when we were talking about the movie. These things, it being overstuffed with characters and not being focused, that was a worry. But I think it achieved, it is about Superman. The movie is focused on Superman. A lot of other characters are brought up and used and interesting in cool ways, but they don't overshadow the Superman story. But all these people online just said that just because it's like the take they already went in with their mind set on, and I get so annoyed at YouTubers who are doing that. Like, come on, watch better channels, people. Stranded Panda at Stranded Panda on YouTube.
Hashtag nuance.
Hashtag nuance. Oh my gosh. Well, let's make hashtag nuance happen. It's like the least internet like savvy hashtag in the world. I want to put hashtag nuance on everything. I just want a t-shirt that says hashtag nuance.
Yeah,
check our Multiverse news store later.
Our merch store. Let's do it.
All right. With last year's banner year for television behind us, buzz about the Emmys has been hot, and today the list of nominations dropped. Favorites of the cast, Severance leads the drama show pack with 27 total nominations, with other cast favorite The Penguin close behind with 24. The Studio and The White Lotus each grabbed 23 noms, and Hacks received the most for a comedy show with 14. The Bear continues its awards showing as a comedy, and a lot of our sci-fi fantasy favorites such as Andor, Agatha All Along, Dune Prophecy, and House of the Dragon didn't scoop any acting noms, but are up for production, costume, and directing. Though Andor did snag a nomination for Best Drama Series. We knew it would be a tough year, but do these nominations follow the script?
We've talked so much this last year about TV right now, and streaming TV is just at the highest caliber. It feels like, you can see TV at, and I think it's just going to keep getting better. I'd say if I have a quibble with any of these, it's The White Lotus, just because I get it. Like, I like that show too. I watch it, but did I think any of those, if anybody's going to get a nom out of that, it should be Parker Posey, and I don't know that she did. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure she didn't. Jason Isaacs' performance is what got a nomination for acting, and I'm like, it's good, but, yeah, and there was so much in the Star Wars community, so much buzz about wanting Diego Luna to get some recognition for his role as Cassian Andor, and it does feel a little bit like a shame that he didn't, especially the second season of that show being how incredibly wonderful that it was. But Severance, I think, is not a surprise. I know, I'm pretty sure we've all on this cast right now watched it, and just really, it's like the most interesting and visually stunning and, creative TV show I've seen in a long time. And you want to say, like, well, genre TV doesn't get any attention, but then The Penguin's right behind it. So, that argument, while it mostly is true, if you look at the whole list of nominations, The Penguin really set itself apart from a lot of our comic book and fantasy and sci-fi stuff. So none of this really surprises me, but I will say go Hacks for edging out The Bear on the comedy stuff.
Indeed.
Not that I have anything against The Bear, but it is funny.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think we all like The Bear that we've talked on this show about it, but like we all root against it in the comedy category.
What are you talking about? The only reason I tune into The Bear is for the comic stylings of Jeremy Allen White, obviously.
I think that's what's golden about that show, is just that, like, the stories get so intense and you feel for so much of the characters, but then, like, when something funny happens, like, it's freaking hilarious. Like, something as simple as, like, the crazy restaurant scene of, like, the opening night and everything, and then the fat goes out with the tea, pours it, brings it right back in. What the fuck are you doing? Like, sorry. I mean, just little things like that. Like, I always question why it's a comedy show or why it gets categorized as comedy until things like that happen again and again, and it's golden every time. Like, that intensity is necessary for that comedy to hit the way that it does.
I see that. It's just that categorizing it as a comedy feels unfair for the award season stuff, because it's like when you're trying to compare comedies and then you've got something that's so drama filled that brings it so hard in so many other elements, the cinematography, the acting is just like so next level. It's like, of course you can do better acting when you're given material like that. And then when you look at the comedians and they're like trying to make people laugh more than they're trying to make you feel that intense. But I get it. I hear you. Like, the release of a laugh after that intensity is incredibly cathartic, and so I don't take that away from it. But it's just a funny argument to have, I guess.
What's funny is the only other thing I really have to say about this is that I really want Shrinking to get all of the love. I've been, preaching Apple TV Plus since it started, and that is by far one of the best shows on there, very close to Ted Lasso. But it kind of follows that same formula too, right? Like there's so much intense storytelling. Like the backstory alone is just so tragic, but just the way that they talk about it and joke about it, it's comedy gold.
Apple already has made a social post about Harrison Ford being nominated for his first Emmy, and it's the clip from the show where he's like, "What do you want me to do? Bend over and make my ass cheeks clap or something?"
Oh my gosh.
It's so good.
I already knew I needed to watch Shrinking, but even more so now.
Gotta watch Shrinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Haley, I really agree with what you said about this being unexpected or expected rather, not surprising. It's kind of what we expected to have happen here. And to that end, I think it's a little bit of a mixed bag. On the one hand, I am, very encouraged and very excited to see so many of the shows that I watched and loved get the recognition and the nominations, particularly Apple TV just absolutely dominating between Severance and The Studio. I'm super glad that I watched both of those shows. But I will say, talking about Andor, and it wasn't snubbed completely because it is getting recognized as we mentioned, the best drama series here, as well as I think maybe a technical award or two, if I'm not mistaken. But just the lack of recognition as far as the performances go. I'm gonna say it. I might get some hate for this, but Pedro getting in for Last of Us season 2, he's great in the episodes that he's in, but that's where it just gets frustrating. It's like, categorize these performances in the right places. Like, he should have been supporting, and that could have opened that slot up for Diego Luna. And even if he doesn't go the distance to get the award, just to get the nomination is such a huge feather in people's cap in this industry. So another big takeaway for me is that I need to watch both The White Lotus and The Pit. Just hearing rave reviews from them consistently, but I have heard some pushback on The White Lotus similarly here, that maybe Walton Goggins should have been relegated to more of a instead of supporting maybe main, and that would have opened up supporting for someone like Stellan Skarsgård, who again across both seasons of that show just delivered some of the best work across his entire career. So it's just like I said, it's a mixed bag. It's exciting on the one hand, but it's really frustrating to see them continue to make the same mistakes, particularly with The Bear. I mean, we can kind of laugh at it this point, but it's like year after year, all the flack they get for it. Why do you keep doing it? Why?
Because they can.
Yeah, true.
My husband is a trauma nurse, and he thinks that Noah Weil should win for The Pit.
He's a lot of people's favorite, so I'll have to check it out before the ceremony.
I think the show has a few more years in it. I think that it'll be doing well, but I think that Severance. I just hope that Severance gets a lot of love in the actual final awards, because I just think I think it will. I guess is my prediction. Not only does it have a lot of noms, but I think it's a show that is a lot of creators' favorite shows. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's one that the kind of Hollywood folks who make movies and make a lot of these decisions. I don't know how the Emmys actually decided. Is it similar to the Oscars? Is it like industry people?
I believe so.
They have a voting, and I guess they had a record turnout for voting this year too. Okay,
it just seems to me, just as a someone who lives far from that world, just hearing interviews and things with people talking about Severance, I just hear so many like talk show hosts and people who like make shows and are interviewing people. When they talk to those Severance people, they're like obsessed with the show. You know, it just seems like a show that's being like really watched by the type of people who make these decisions, and I think it'll do well for that reason, and because I love it. That's why it'll do well.
There was definitely a good 2 months that I was probably freaking people out around my area, just whistling the theme song as I walk around.
Yep. You are that creepy guy just walking around whistling the Severance theme song. Goodness, Jay Scotty. All right. Well, my friends, we're going to move on to our lightning round after this break. We got a lot of things in it. We got the Devil Wears Prada 2 casting. Sean Levy returns to overtime work with another Night at the Museum movie. Murderbot's got a season 2 coming, and the paper has a release date, plus much more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Multiverse News. We have a Patreon that Haley Hobbs is going to tell us about.
Yeah, it's a lovely, wonderful community over there at patreon.com/multiverse Multiverse Newscast, where if you join, we give you a patron-exclusive sticker. It's only $4 a month. You can think of it as less than $1 an episode. You get some amazing stuff over there. We do some extra polls for you. You get to interact with us. We do tangent talks here and there. Sometimes I think about hopping on there and just saying random things and seeing who listens and what happens with that. But you never know. You never know what's going to go on over there, and you get a percentage off of the merch store. So go check that out, and thank you to everybody who is over there. It's patreon.com/multiverse-news.
Sweet. Yes, please do. And we have a patron shout out this week, Jennifer Gillum. Thank you so much for being a patron. Thank you for being a patron. Boo boo to boo. That's all we can afford.
That's right.
I thought you were holding up a Multiverse News deck of cards, and now I'm wondering if that could actually be made.
Oh, you totally can make a deck of cards. There's like, you can just put whatever you want on the back and they'll print them. Pretty
No,
cool.
but like you need to have like 4 figures for.
Can I be the Joker?
Oh yeah, we do have the 4 hosts, so we could all be a different face card. I like that. Yes, J. Scotty, you can absolutely be the Joker. Woohoo! Woohoo! All right. A Spotify poll this week was: are you planning to see Superman on opening weekend? 53.5% of you said yes, and 46% said no. That's a lot of people to see it on opening weekend. I feel like
About half and half.
The question is, are they just not going to see the movie, or are they waiting till second or third weekends? That we'll know next week, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
The next poll question is, did you see it this weekend?
Yeah.
The rest of the show is just going to be constant follow-ups to this poll.
Yeah, just
have you seen
every
it yet?
week from now on? Yeah. What about now? How many of you seen Superman now? And in a few weeks, I'll just say, "What about now? Yes or no?" All right. No context. All right, let's get into the lightning round, you guys. Lightning round is where I'm going to read a story, and then our 4 intrepid heroes will shout out their names to claim the story, and if they claim the story, it is theirs to respond to, and once per lightning round, we get a rebuttal. So here we go. The Devil Wears Prada 2 has added Lucy Liu, Justin Theroux, BJ Novak, and Pauline Chalamet to the cast. They join stars of the original movie Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, and Stanley Tucci, who will reprise their roles for the sequel.
Haley, I guess, because it's a chick flick. Unrelated, like, I heard
movie.
that they're going to focus on Meryl Streep's character's husband, which I just think is kind of strange. And that's all I have to say about that.
That does feel strange.
Right?
Maybe he's the devil in this one? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I've never actually seen Devil Wears Prada, so I was not the one to respond for that for sure.
And yet you did.
What's BJ Novak been up to? I haven't heard that name in a while.
All I know is he's dating that Delaney Rowe girl that does those insufferable skits on the TikTok stuff, and I think it's like people are like, she's 22. That's all.
Goodness,
I don't know. That's all I know about that.
Delaney Rowe. I don't know who that is.
You would know if you
Ryan
saw
Moore.
what I'm talking about.
I'm looking at her, and I still don't know who she is.
She does the insufferable girl in the indie movies, and it's like, sometimes when I eat potato chips, I just think about what could have been. And it's like, she's just parodying stuff.
All right, I like it. 20th Century and Sean Levy's production company 21 Laps are currently in the early stages of revitalizing the Night at the Museum franchise. Tripper Clancy has been asked to write the new take. Plot details for the reimagining are currently under wraps. All 3 original films were directed by Levy, who will remain as producer on the new film.
No,
Another
not
one I've
me.
never seen.
Not it.
Okay,
It's
Scotty,
another Night at the Museum movie.
I saw the first 2. They're fun. At the very least, for a certain age level, this could be what ignites a love of history in them. And I do think about those first 2 films. Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt. Just makes me miss Robin Williams. So who knows if Ben Stiller will return? It seems like he's kind of moved on to greener pastures here. But it's a fun concept. But I don't know who was really asking for this. But I guess 21 Laps was. So let's do it.
Yeah. I know I keep responding to things without real responses here, but you gave me the idea, Haley, we should start doing not it on those long pauses. Like when no one wants to respond to something, not it. And then like whoever gets to it last, so they just have to respond to the story. I like that as a little wrinkle.
The lightning round evolves.
It's time.
Netflix released the first trailer for season 2 of their hit show Wednesday. Part 1 of the series debuts on August 6th, followed by part 2 on September 3rd.
What day of the week is that?
If it's a Wednesday, it's a fail.
It is a Wednesday.
There you go. Good job, Netflix. You win.
Nice.
Good job.
Nice.
Baba Booey.
All right. Is that it? Okay. I thought the trailer looked cool, but I never finished season 1.
Nor did I.
I never watched
I like the dancing memes, though. They were fun.
Yeah, the dancing memes have been fun. All right. HBO Max has formally greenlit Stuart Fails to Save the Universe, a Big Bang Theory spin-off comedy that will center on comic book shop owner Stuart Bloom, played by Kevin Sussman, who had a heavily recurring role on the original CBS series. The show comes from Big Bang Theory co-creators Chuck Lorre, Bill Prady, and Zach Penn, and unlike the original series and its other spin-offs, it will feature a heavy dose of sci-fi along its comedy, including multiversal elements.
So I finally watched Young Sheldon for the first time, and at first I didn't want to watch it because it just felt like a cheap cash grab for Big Bang Theory because I didn't have ideas for it anymore. But the production quality of that show really threw me off. The storytelling, the comedy, the character development, and it had some really hard-hitting moments on it. So I was very, very impressed with, how they were able to put that show together. It's absolutely incredible. So while this premise seems interesting, I was very excited for the potential of a Georgie show. So it's interesting that they're going with Stuart instead. I think Young Sheldon has just earned my trust with it, and I think everything Chuck Lorre's made has made me laugh my ass off multiple times. So I've got high hopes for that. Well, I've got reasonable expectations for this, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in on a rebuttal with this one, like a real one. And just say that I agree. I've been really impressed with the spin-off potential of this show, because I don't even like the Big Bang Theory. Like it's funny at times, but I find it this is offensive, but it feels like a nerd minstrel show. It doesn't feel like real geeks. It feels like what other people think geeks are a lot of times to me. I don't really like the show, but I like the characters. It's an okay show. It annoyed me because it didn't feel real to geekdom to me. It felt like some outsider's view of it. But I know that may not always be true. Maybe it evolved. I never watched a lot of the show.
I mean, I've been to comic book stores. Like, I'm just saying.
Girl.
It was a little bit like that.
Worst spin-off
Haven't been back
ever.
All right. Well, I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like it was true.
Didn't feel like a girl.
True to geekdom. But I was like Zoo. I was really impressed with Young Sheldon. It has almost like a Wonder Years vibe. Like it's a different style series, single camera, like really good, well done dramedy series instead of just the comedy. And like I was really impressed with it. And then I haven't seen it yet, but whatever it is, Georgie, what was it called? Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage is such a good title for a show. Like that's such a great idea for a show. Like watching a show, this is going to end poorly, and Georgie's character from the Young Sheldon is kind of a screw up and all this stuff. Like it just seems like a really great idea for a show, and I haven't seen it yet, but like I'm impressed with how different it is. And now going to the comic book store and giving the comic book store owner superpowers of some kind, like I'm in all the way on the idea of them building out a universe that includes such different properties, I think that's really fun, and I'm impressed with their ability to spin it off and change it so drastically every time. All right. Peacock has set an official release date for the Office spinoff series, The Paper. The show will debut its first 4 episodes on September 4th, followed by 2 new episodes every Thursday through September 25th.
Haley, I love The Office enough to give this a spin, and it'll speak to like what I went to school for. So I'm interested to see their take on the dying art of journalism and all of that stuff, which, I mean, it's not dead, but newspapers are a dying breed, and so I'm kind of interested, and I really want to see Domhnall Gleeson in this comedy role because he can do it, and I want to see him like really doing it.
Sweet.
Scotty, with a quick rebuttal, I am just curious about what this particular release strategy, what kind of impact that will have on the water cooler talk, or any podcasts that could be a result of it, because we've seen a lot of new strategies when it comes to like how do we release these shows, and I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this. 4 episodes initially, followed by 2 episodes every week, but I'll be curious to see how it pans out.
Totally. Murderbot has been renewed for a second season on Apple TV Plus after airing its season 1 finale on July 11th.
Haley, Murderbot is pretty funny. It's a very tongue-in-cheek sci-fi. It makes me think of Galaxy Quest, like in all of the right ways. That movie is so funny, and you're like, this is a set, and I can tell they're on a set, but I also kind of believe that they're in this weird space planet area. And Alexander Skarsgård is really good as Murderbot, so I'm glad to see it. I'm not caught up. I haven't finished this season. I got behind with the Sandman stuff that Ash and I did, but yeah, it's a good show. And a really good book series, and they're short books, which I love.
Star Wars creator George Lucas is coming to San Diego Comic-Con for his first ever panel. Lucas will be joined by filmmaker Guillermo del Toro and artist and Star Wars prequels production designer Doug Chiang for a panel that will explore the power of illustrated story and offer a sneak peek at the new Lucas Museum of Narrative Art.
Haley? It's Haley week? Haley gets a lightning round week? Wow. That never happens. It's really funny when you think about the impact of Star Wars on media that George Lucas has never been to Comic-Con. Like, good for him. I would totally be that way too. I'd be like, no, you guys enjoy that. This is kind of a cool panel. This museum sounds interesting. It's a really good way to, crystallize all of the things that have made his films so iconic over the years and all the things that have been pioneered on his film sets by others. And Doug Chiang kind of ended up taking the reins over from Ralph McQuarrie, who did all of the original art for the original films. And so now it's like they're having an Art of Doug Chiang books coming out, which they used to have the Art of Ralph McQuarrie, and I want all of them. And I think he's like the lead art director now for Lucasfilm. So anyway, very cool concept. I love that Queen Latifah is moderating the panel. Like, I don't know who put this together, but I love it. And I kind of hope I can watch it because it sounds like a hoot. And it's really interesting. So good for you, George. He's getting old too.
At the mention of the appropriateness or inappropriateness of it being Queen Latifah, I just, in my mind, George Lucas is the kind of guy, like, he gets what he wants. So he's, if I'm gonna do this, I'd really like to be I'd like this to Queen Latifah to be the one proctoring this. That's my that's my.
I'm sure she'll do a great job too.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Yeah, she's dynamic.
I think Lucas also walked into that comic book store and was like, I do not want to be in a hall with these people.
Sure.
I think you're right.
Jay Scott, you mentioning that like he gets whatever he wants. That's definitely true. Like on the prequels, there's a lot of people talked about how like no one can really question him. He's just like, he's George Lucas. We do what he wants. He created this whole thing. It's just interesting, people like that who did something so good and so iconic 50 years ago that like they are still kind of unquestionable. You know what I mean? Like, you can't question him. Like, even if you think he's wrong, it's still George Lucas. Like, he's got it. There's something in his idea that is correct. It's just a really funny concept to think about. I think, like, Gene Roddenberry. Similarly, just like his fans believed he just was like a deity. Like during his life, he was just like, oh, well, Gene he's like, Star Trek is a religion to these people. Yeah, these people, talking about myself. Like, it's just a funny thing. Star Wars is the same way. Guy Ritchie has exited as the director for Amazon MGM Studios' sequel movie Roadhouse 2, starring Jake Gyllenhaal.
Scotty, I still have not seen the first Roadhouse, and when I say the first Roadhouse, I'm not talking about the 1980s movie. I have seen that one, but I did not see the reboot with Jake Gyllenhaal that was directed by Doug Liman a couple of years ago. And when I think about that movie, I just think about how mired it was in controversy around Doug Liman. Like, I felt like he was done really dirty. Like, he voiced some dissatisfaction about the release strategy. He really wanted to go into theaters, and then when the sequel came around, they booted him. So I'd like to give Guy Ritchie the benefit of the doubt here and think that he is exiting this as like, a show of respect potentially for Doug Liman there, but they're not citing creative differences, which is usually like the catch-all phrase. So it'll be interesting to see down the road if we learn what exactly fell apart here and if this movie will still have the momentum to happen.
HBO's Harry Potter TV series, the long-awaited and much hyped return to J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, has officially started production at Warner Brothers. The show has also revealed a first look at Dominic McLaughlin as Harry Potter and announced new casting, including Rory Wilmot as Neville Longbottom, Amos Kitson as Dudley Dursley, Louis Brayley as Madame Rolanda Hooch, and Anton Lesser as Garrick Ollivander. The series has also been confirmed to debut in 2027. This is the new Hunger Games for me, and it's just going to be every week, these new names. And they're not even new names, they're names I know, but like I'm going to screw them up every week, and it's just going to be a thing.
Yeah, I'm actually getting excited for this now, like especially after seeing a couple of these images of the actors, like, kind of dressed up for the roles and stuff. I've been on Peeves Gab Fest a couple of times as the person who never read the books but enjoyed the movies, so I've been like reading the books for the first time. And yeah, there was a lot that was left out, and I think HBO is doing a fantastic job at making these series based off books and video games, and I think they have a pretty good track record for someone who enjoys just the visual content and doesn't necessarily care about the source material. So I'm excited to see where they go with this.
Sweet. Sources tell Deadline Indian action star Vidyut Jamwal has landed the role of Dalsum in Legendary's live-action Street Fighter movie based on the video game from Capcom.
Scotty, I'm not familiar with the actor here, Vidyut Jamwal, but I feel like I have become the de facto Street Fighter guy. We're going to keep talking about this movie as casting continues to ramp up, but I do recognize the name Dalsum, and having played as little of the game I remember him pretty well because he's stretchy. He's kind of like a Mr. Fantastic, so it's always kind of cool to see those particular effects on display in a movie. We have seen very little of what that's going to look like in the Fantastic Four. So I think that speaks to how difficult it is and how it can either go one way or another. And a lot of times it ends up being the uncanny valley thing. But, hopefully they find a cool way to display it. And yeah, give me more stretchy people. Maybe we'll get a Stretch Armstrong movie before too long. We got Barbie and Hot Wheels and Matchbox.
Don't give Margot Robbie any ideas.
Yeah, I was trying to see if he was in any Bollywood movies I was familiar with, but none that I've seen recently. But his martial arts background is really fascinating too, so it's going to be cool to see him in an action flick.
Cool. Sweet. All right, well, that's our lightning round this week. I guess let's just go around and tell folks where they can find you online, so they can find your stuff. Zuhair Ali, where can they find you online?
Yeah, first off, you can check out the 323 with Reed Murphy podcast. We haven't picked up the sports talk yet, but while we're in the summer, I've been doing a few movie reviews. So we did Superman last week with the Fantastic Four update coming soon. It's just been fun to podcast again. But outside of that, my small business is taking over my life. So if you could show me a little bit of support and follow Upright Exposures on Instagram and, give me some likes as you're scrolling through. My social media content manager is fantastic and is writing up the best captions. So if you could show your boys some love, please check out Upright Exposures.
Awesome. Are you doing that, Haley?
I am.
Nice. I didn't know that. You just made I didn't know if it was on screen for everybody, but you made a face saying that was you. That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
only made possible by Zoo's amazing and incredible photography and videography skills.
She has been a lifesaver on actually getting it out, though. Otherwise, no one would ever see it.
Yeah, that's my problem too, man. I'll make content all day and never put it anywhere. It's just like I feel like I grew up just a little too young, too early, too old. I guess too early to get into social media. Well, I'm terrible at it. Haley Hobbs, tell them where they can find you online.
Please do follow Upright Exposures because honestly, even if you're not you don't go to it to look for houses to buy, you go to it to look at Zoo's photos. They are just really really beautiful. And then Source Pages, we just celebrated our 200th episode. It just dropped. Which was crazy. Brian and I were like, wow, 4 years in, 200 episodes. We're doing it. We had two of our regular guests on, Karen and Todd, and we just kind of joshed for an hour. And right around the corner here, we'll be doing our Fantastic Four primer. And then over on Always Watching, if you think you're going to get sick of Ashley and I, just get ready, because you're not, because we're not going to stop putting stuff over there. We are covering The Sandman, which we really, really have loved this season of that show on Netflix. And then we're doing our Outlander rewatch, so contributing to all the things over there.
That's awesome. All right, and J. Scotty St. Clair.
Please do check out the Superman review that we mentioned that's on this very feed. Go give that some love once you've seen the movie. We'll be excited to have you all participate in the conversation. And then on behalf of our news hound that's not here this week, Jay Sissons in the Wind, check out his podcast, Commute the Podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And check me out over Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. We got a big week coming up. We did a big Ironheart watch and then Ironheart feedback episode yesterday, and now we've got Fantastic Four in a week and a half. So I am really, really excited for that. And we're right here on Multiverse News next week. Peace.
You stay classy, Multiverse.
Hey, thanks for listening to Multiverse News, or watching it, or whatever you're doing. Eyeballs or ear holes, whichever thing. We do this show every week, and we appreciate you listening. strandedpanda.com is where you can find all of our podcasts. And thank you for listening. Check us out wherever you get podcasts. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the little bell icon, whatever you have on whatever service you're doing. Rate us, like us. We're really thirsty. That's what I'm saying.